We're here with Jerry Ortiz Pino, who is the state senator. Where do you see the issues with education? Our graduation dropout rate and our retention and success levels are not where we want them to be in the state. Teacher morale is low. What do you think that the Senate can do to resolve some of these issues? And will the teachers be facing a budget cut this year? Are they going to lose salary?
Well, the issue of the salary is intimately, that is the big thorn in the budget battle, because the budget as it was originally proposed in the House, and I mentioned earlier we haven't had a chance to see the final version of it, had a 2% cut for teacher salaries. And to me, that would just be a total backward step. We finally reached the point where teacher salaries in New Mexico were, they're not even at the middle of the national average, but they've been moving up, and there was some sense that we were making progress. And to take this backward step, I think, would be most unfortunate. So that's going to be the fight on the budget, is going to be largely whether we cut teacher salaries or not. If we can win that fight, if we can raise some more taxes, then we can avoid having to cut them. That's not really the heart of the morale issue, though I'm convinced. I agree with you, Marianne. The teacher morale is at an all-time low. And we've met with teachers during the interim. A group of us met with teachers repeatedly. And what comes out is they hardly even mention salary. Of course they would like to be better paid, but the issue for them is more they are no longer being treated as professionals. And this, I think, is largely a function of how our accountability has been translated, our demand for accountability has been translated into just testing. That's the only form of accountability we even mention when we talk about accountability. As a result, the teachers say they spend 30 instructional days a year testing their students. The tests are ludicrous. They have no relevance to the content that they've been trying to teach. They teach to the test so they don't get dinged by the administration or by the state. The whole thing is upside down. And the teachers don't feel like they are teachers anymore. As one said, we're just testers, not teachers. And they have little or no control over the content of their classes anymore because they have to make sure the students do well on the test. That's the heart of the morale problem for teachers, and that's why so many of the best ones are leaving the profession. We've got to find a way to reduce that pressure. Senator Steve Fishman from Las Cruces and Senator Tim Keller and I from Albuquerque are working on trying to find a way to cut the budget that goes into testing, to force PED to stop requiring so many tests. If that doesn't work, we're going to have to come back with much more strongly voiced efforts, but that'll have to be next year when we don't require the governor to give us a message to do it. And I think the reason the teacher morale is so important is because it's reflected in the dropout rate and the poor graduation rate. You know, about half of our students aren't finishing high school. And you get into argument, well, it's really 62%, not 56 or not 49. 62 is terrible. And we need to really refocus our efforts at finding a way to help more kids get the preparation for life that they need. Now, that may be involving more money, but I think there are several things we can do that don't take any money. We could change the way the vocational programs are offered in school. Those could be expanded greatly without increasing school budget at all. A welding instructor teaching a class of 30 students costs the school the same amount as a U.S. history teacher teaching a class of 30 students. There may be some equipment that has to be purchased, but essentially, operationally, there's no need to expand the budget. It's to come up with more diversity in the offerings so that it's not all college prep, because kids who know by the 8th grade they're not going to want to go to college aren't interested in sitting down and learning college prep material. They want to get something that will prepare them for life, some hands-on experience. That doesn't take more money. We can change the daily schedule. We've got a schedule for high school students that's totally out of sync with their biorhythms. We require them to be there at the time of the day when they're asleep, and we let them go home at the time of the day when they're reaching their mental peak. Makes no sense. Change the schedule, doesn't take a dime of extra money. All it takes is some administrative creativity and a willingness to challenge the school bus industry, which drives the schools more often than it should.
What about parent accountability?
Well, I mean, we were really focusing on what the schools could do. I think there's really a need for if we're ever really going to have successful educational system, that's going to depend on a partnership between the parents and the schools. If the parents don't expect the kids to do well, there's not much a teacher can do. Occasionally, a particularly gifted teacher can form a relationship with a student and surmount that basic barrier. But when the students come from a home where they're told over and over again for 60 hours a day, why are you wasting your time in school? You're never going to amount to much. Nobody from our family has ever graduated. What's the point of even trying? You should just get pregnant and have a baby. If those are the messages they're getting 60 hours a week, the 30 hours a week they're in the classroom with 5 different teachers, it's going to be very, very unlikely that that's going to counterbalance those family expectations. So we can't really change the education system until our families' attitudes are changed. But those can be brought along, and there's some things the schools could do to bring them along. Just simple stuff early on. My sister's a pediatrician. She says if you start kids watching television before they're age 2, their brains just don't develop properly. And so one very simple thing would be to start explaining to parents how using the TV set as a babysitter for kids under 2 is going to make them unlikely to ever be successful in school. It just blunts their intelligence. It's the dumbing of America, and that's what's going on if we do that. Well, that requires some changes in attitudes, but just telling people about it helps immensely. The same way about drinking soft drinks or sugar, if we can get them to stop doing that.
So educate the parents.
Parent education is crucial. We start, the next generation of parents are in our high schools right now, so we can start with them right away. And that, at least for the next generation, might have some benefit.
All right.